I'm going to use the Iron Orchid Design Waltz sheet music stamp to create my own ribbon fabric for bows. First, I'm going to stain my muslin in coffee. The longer you leave it in, the darker it will be. Once that is dry, I am going to stamp the sheet music onto my fabric. I'm using paint for this project because I want it to be a little darker than I would get from ink. So I'm using a roller and just very carefully rolling over the top of the stamp. I'm not pressing really hard because I don't want the paint to go into the grooves of that stamp. I want a nice clean stamp. I put it on my fabric, hold it in place with one hand, and push firmly over the stamp to get a good ink impression. I love it. I'm going to cover all of the parts of my fabric, re-rolling the paint on there each time I move the stamp to a different spot on the fabric. I am making sure that I go over all of the parts of the stamp with as even of a pressure as I can apply. Now I want to add a little more to it, so I'm using my vintage texture stamp, and I put gold metallic on it because I really want this to look like an old, weathered, worn piece of sheet music. So I'm going to go across the entire piece of fabric with my vintage texture stamp. It adds more interest and makes it look more vintage. I'm not pressing too hard on this because I don't want it to be the dominant feature. Once I'm complete with that, I am taking my Ranger ink coffee colored ink and just going across the top of the fabric to give it an even more vintage look. Now it's time to tear it into sections because I'm going to be using this as ribbon for projects. I just cut at the end and tear it apart. Stay tuned to watch how I use this ribbon.